Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Liz. Thank you for stopping by. Today I have a very interesting oracle deck. It's called the Blind Spot Oracle Cards by Teal Swan. It's a 78 card deck with a guidebook, and it actually comes with 49 temporary tattoos as well. It's a very interesting, very clever deck, okay? But it is very different. So if you usually go to the cards, I would advise you to actually listen to the intro on this one, only because I'm going to give you a little bit of how to work this deck. And what it's about, because it is quite different, okay? And it's 78 cards, and it's the blind spot is what are you not seeing? I plan on using this deck with a lot of my readings. Like, what are you not seeing in this situation? Okay. It's really brilliant, you know. I know Teal Swan can be controversial for some people. I follow her on Instagram. I didn't even know she had this deck. It came out last year, I believe. And I'm very surprised, because usually, you know, if somebody I follow is creating a deck, I would know. But apparently not. I found this on, it was a auction, and the regular price on it is $44. You can get it on Amazon for around 40-ish. It's just a really clever deck. So anyway, I'm going to read the back. The Blind Spot Oracle cards have a simple but incredibly effective purpose: to reveal what you are not aware of relative to the question you are asking. Our blind spots may hide motives, fears, desires, needs, truths, reasons, habits, patterns. The list goes on. The Oracle will make you aware of them, and if you are aware, you can take action. Draw one of the 78 sigil symbols to get clarity on any issue. Try out the specially created spreads for amazingly insightful perspectives on conflict and group situations. Connect with the energy of the sigils through artwork painted in trance conditions by Teal Swan. Choose from 49 temporary tattoos to deepen your connection with the sigil guides. Teal Swan is a personal, transformative revolutionary who was born highly intuitive, a renowned author, speaker, and modern spiritual leader. She travels the world teaching about self-awareness and inspiring millions towards authenticity, freedom, and joy. And her website is tealswan.com, but she also she's on Instagram under Teal Swan. She might even be on YouTube, but I think she's on YouTube as well. Pretty sure I've seen some of her videos. Anyway, it's a very thick, big box. This is a good size box. This is the book that comes with it. I read through it, so there's a few little things here that I want to go over with you guys. And that's the book. These are the cards. It's quite a thick deck. It's not a typical, 78 is the typical number of a tarot deck. And this is almost twice as thick as a tarot. I'd say a regular tarot deck, like say the Rider-Waite-Smith, is about that thick. So these cards are very thick. They do not shuffle, rifle shuffle well, at least in my opinion. If you do the corner, it's not bad. But if you try to do it, well, my hands are too small anyway. I don't know if it would work well. They're good quality cards. They are shiny, as you can see. And that's the back of them. And this is the tattoos, the tattoos that go with it. Tells you how to put them on. They say it's for adults only. I probably won't use the tattoos, but I do think it's a cute idea. You know, some people probably will. And that is actually one of the cards in there has that. So I'm sure it's there's only 49, which is kind of weird. You have 78 cards and only 49 tattoos, but I won't use them anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Not to me. At least I don't think I will. So, this deck is number one, and I'm going to go, I know it's not going to be in order. Number one with this deck, it's you should not clear the blind spot oracle cards. Most tarot cards are cleared or cleansed regularly to maintain the positive energy and your connection with them. The blind spot oracle cards are different. Each time the sigils exercise their help with anyone who uses the cards, they become stronger and more attuned. This means it is fine to allow anyone to touch or hold your deck. It will even improve their intensity, objectivity, and acuity. To generalize, only the sigils associated with specific energies benefit by those specific energies. For example, only a sigil associated with awareness about letting go would benefit by being smudged or saged. Keep this in mind when considering exposing the sigils to anything such as essential oils or crystals. That being said, these sigils are both multidimensional and too strong to be damaged in any way by the exposure to influences in your reality, in your physical reality. Also, so that's talks about not clearing the deck, which honestly, that's very different. I think that's kind of cool. The images are sigils, and I'm going to read a quick little blurb on the sigils here. The artwork on these cards was originally painted by hand directly on paper by Teal, Swan, and painted while in deep trance states. Each card acts as a birth for a specific sigil. A sigil is an inscribed or painted symbol or seal. But the difference between a symbol and a sigil is that unlike a symbol, a sigil is not representing anything. Instead, the sigil itself is like a body for a specific essence, entity, or spirit. This is why a sigil is considered to have magical powers. For example, you could use a sigil to represent a specific archangel, but a sigil would act as a physical manifestation of that archangel. It would act as a portal to enable that entity or spirit to enter the realm of the physical. Therefore, the sigil is considered to be a living entity in and of itself. This is what makes them so incredibly powerful. So that was new to me because I really haven't worked much with sigils. I think they're cool, but I didn't realize that they were that. And let's see, there was something else. I had put this here. Well, basically what this is saying in the front here is that these cards are about finding what you can't see in a given situation, what your blind spot is, because that's what it's called. And it's basically what you don't know that you don't know. And we all have those moments. I've used the cards a couple times myself. I do find that they are very blunt. The readings on the cards, or I should say the description in the book, they're very blunt, a little bit, they can be a little bit harsh, but sometimes you need that, and very to the point. So it's a very, very good deck. Now, the one thing I'm not a huge fan of is this is the card. Like, this is card number 1. It does not have a descriptive word or name to the card. When you look at this card, and that's what she explains in that first part, when you look at this card, it just looks happy. And this, if I look at this, I see like a little bird here. I see a dog right there with his face, with a little nose. To me, it's like a comforting card. And she explains that card number 1, which is this one, it's called Your Fear. So when you first look at it, you don't see fear, okay? And what she says here about that, because she does say it, let me see where she says that. She explains that. Hold on one second here. Let me just find it. Is it here? Hold on a second. Or is it in another spot? Okay, right here. It's right here. Each sigil in this deck is not a symbol that represents a subject matter it has chosen to be assigned to. Instead, it is the sigil that can help you become most aware of the contents of that specific sigil blind spot. For example, sigil 1, that is assigned to the fear blind spot, is not a sigil that represents fear in any way. Quite the opposite. It brings a sense of safety and well-being. By doing this, it makes you aware of your own tendency to project threat where there is none. And then explains how sigil 59 is sigil that carries the actual energy of projection, so that you can clearly feel and see that there is something between you and your capacity to see the truth. You'll most likely be able to feel instinctively which sigils awaken your awareness through being the embodiment of the solution for that blind spot. So it's just a very, very interesting deck, okay? I feel like I'm going to use this deck a lot. You have, in my opinion, you have to use the book with it. If nothing else, for the name of the card. And one way to do that, you can actually write it in if you really want to. I mean, this card does not inspire fear. So, you know, maybe you can read them intuitively because she even says that. You can just look up the word, see what the word says to you, then read the whole description. You know, I'm going to show you the cards real quick because I'm already, 10 minutes in just explaining it. Show you the cards because there's nothing much to see except for the cards. And then I'll read on maybe a couple of the cards so you have an idea of her writing style. So I'm going to do this real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I love this one. Looks like a little pregnant person. I'm going to pull that one out. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I mean, as you can see, there's different stuff you can see in all of them. Some of them, to me, this one looks like a candle for some reason. Like it looks like there's a light there. I mean, you can see all kinds of different things. 16, 17, 18, oops, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, and this one looks like a cat to me. With the whiskers. And then there's a 4. This looks like a half moon or a scythe. I mean, you can see a lot of stuff in them. 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45. Let me just fix them. They're all over the place here. 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. Oh, that one's cute. Looks like a happy pup. Looks like a happy doggy. They're falling all over the place here. 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58. That one looks like an angry parent. 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78. This one just looks like somebody's really, really busy doing all, there's a clock there, they're busy working, this person's over here exercising, somebody's watching them over here. It's like, this one's all over the place. So, all right. So that's the deck. I'm going to read on number 5, and let's see what comes up. Number 50. All right, 5 and 50. Okay. Seems to be my thing lately. 5s. And we're supposed to have a solar eclipse in a few minutes here at 4:28 on April 30th. Well, I'm not going to see it. It won't show here. I don't think we're supposed to see it, but that's when it's happening. So, let's see what this one will bring us. All right, so number 5 is called bulldozing. When I see this, I see a pregnant lady with her little baby, or a pregnant panda bear, or something pregnant, okay, with a little baby in there. That's what I see when I look at that. It's very cute and endearing, but it's talking about bulldozing. Okay. If you have drawn the sigil, you are bulldozing a part of yourself in this situation. Consciousness itself functions like water. If you are looking at a river from above, you can see that a large river often branches off into smaller rivers, and each time this happens, there is less water available to the main river. Due to trauma, which occurs in all people's lives with no exception, the question is simply to what degree. Our consciousness splits just like a river does. It splits so that instead of whole, we are fragmented. It is easier to comprehend this process of splitting, that is fragmentation, in terms of how it affects our being by imagining that when our consciousness splits as a result of trauma, our ego splits in two. And it can do this over and over again. This means even though we have one body, within that body, we end up with multiple selves. The best way to picture this is to imagine that inside your body, you have a collection of Siamese twins. They are technically all conjoined because they all share one body, but each one has its own identity, its own desires, needs, perspectives, strengths, weaknesses, and appearance. Some of these internal Siamese twins we like and identify with, others we identify with, suppress, deny, and disown. We have good reason for approving of parts of ourselves and rejecting others, but no matter how we spin it, it means that we are polarized. You have experienced this polarization anytime that you come to a place where you have to make a decision that part of you says yes while another part of you says no. When we are faced with this situation, we usually begin to play zero-sum game internally. We make a decision, so the part of us that says yes has won, and the part of us that says no loses. It is as if the part of us that is saying no to something is standing in front of a bulldozer being driven by our other part, and instead of creating a resolution so that both parts feel in alignment with the choice being made, the one driving the bulldozer simply runs over the one protesting. This creates an internal atmosphere of distrust. It is an antagonistic internal atmosphere. The Siamese twins that we tend to bulldoze the most are those that feel fear. We cannot bulldoze our fear without creating more fear. Instead, we need to take loving care of our fear. In this situation, you must consider that the part of you that is being bulldozed exists and is currently holding a very important personal truth that you need to look at instead of ignoring or minimizing. You have important feelings that need to be felt and needs that need to be met. But you are simply bulldozing forward with the idea that you shouldn't feel those things and shouldn't need those things. If you have drawn this sigil, you are bulldozing a part of yourself in this scenario. This is why you feel like you are moving forward and doing things in spite of yourself. You would be wise to understand that you cannot do this and feel good or manifest anything good at the same time. In this situation, you need to make sure that you move forward on decisions only after you have achieved a state of alignment between you and your internal Siamese twins. Okay, so basically, what I get from that, it's pretty much listen to yourself. If it doesn't feel good, don't do it. In my opinion, if it doesn't feel good, you know it's not right for you. I mean, there's a lot more to that, but that's kind of the gist of what I'm getting with that. And also, most of us are people pleasers, and a lot of times we say yes when we really mean no. And sometimes we have to listen to that no and understand why we're feeling no and saying yes. Okay? This other one, number 50 here, let's see what that one is. What does that one? Automaton. Really? Let's see what that one means. Automaton means, you know, you're kind of like an automat. Wow, this is a long one. Jeez Louise. Well, I'll read it real quick. I mean, can't take that long. All right. If you have drawn the sigil, you are not seeing that your own programmings make you behave in a robotic way. This automatic way of behaving overrides your conscious capacity to know what is right to think, say, and do, and consequently use your free will to take that action. Let's pretend that it's Thursday night. You have just left work and you're supposed to run an errand. To run this errand, you will have to take the turning into the highway. So you get in your car and start driving, but before you know it, you realize that you have missed the turning and instead you are taking your normal route and driving home. It's as if you have switched into autopilot. You are stuck in a pattern. Boy, I've done that. Now let's pretend that you are walking through a gallery, the walls of which are covered in brilliant colored art pieces. Inside, you feel a sinking sensation like sadness. You wish that you could be like those artists who make their living creating beautiful art. But you know that your life doesn't work that way. You have to be more practical. Your parents were immigrants who gave everything they had to give you a better life with more opportunities than they had. They knew that the way to success was to go to college and to get a stable job. So when you used to draw as a child, instead of praising your work and encouraging it, they would discourage and redirect you towards some more practical pursuits. Wow, that's so true. That actually did happen to me. Wow. Pretty soon you stop drawing. You realize your life path was not the path of an artist. You realize that the right thing to do was to go to college and get a stable job. You are stuck in a pattern. What both of these scenarios have in common is that in each case you are stuck in a pattern. Both situations are in fact the result of programming. The first is a case of automatic self-programming. The second case of an unintentional, unconscious social programming. Programming is really nothing more than establishing a pattern. It is conditioning. It is training. To program something, whether it is a computer or a person, is to introduce a certain stimulus that causes that thing to carry out a specific action. To program something is to intentionally create a pattern within it. When we do this to something else, we do it so we can control that thing. We do it so that we can bring that thing into this desired state for whatever use we have in mind for it. When you watch someone train a child or a dog or a horse, you are watching someone program that child or dog or horse. The reality is that all people walking the earth are programmed. All of us are stuck in patterns that we do not have conscious control over because most of us do not even have conscious awareness of them. The brain likes to recognize and create patterns. Once a pattern is established, it delegates the pattern to the subconscious mind so that the conscious mind can remain unburdened and continue seeking out new information. The process of socialization is nothing more than programming that is accepted as good and healthy by the society you are born into. When parents program children to behave like we want them to behave in society, we consider it good parenting. Okay, I need a drink. A lot of reading here. As adults, we are already conditioned. We are already trained. We have been programmed by our society, by our religion, by our parents, by our friends, by the circumstances we encounter in life, and by ourselves. The process of awakening, also referred to as the process of enlightenment, is nothing more than the process of breaking free from this programming. Healing this is nothing more than breaking the patterns that no longer benefit our progression. The average person experiences some positive programming and some negative programming, but this programming is mostly unintentional. The negative programming most people are subjected to is the result of negative beliefs passed from one generation to the next. After all, a belief is nothing more than a pattern, or the negative program may be the result of negative experiences that cause a person to become conditioned in a certain way. For example, a death in the family may result in someone developing a pattern where they do not get close to or intimate with people in order to avoid the possibility of losing them. For most people, the negative programming they receive from other people is unintentional by the person programming them. For example, many parents have no idea that they are conditioning their kids in a negative way. The negative programming the parent is giving their child is done out of love for that child. This is the way that so many negative patterns are implanted in our mind. By convincing yourself and the person you are programming that it is for their own good, when really it is detrimental to them. On the other end of the programming spectrum, you have program that is designed specifically to benefit the programmer, regardless of whether it negatively affects the individual being programmed. An example of this program is the deliberate mind control being practiced by military organizations and the most extreme cult groups. This is not unintentional or unconscious program. This is conscious program. And this is a case where the person carrying out the conditioning and training of the individual knows exactly what they're doing and exactly how and why to do it to establish the pattern they want to see in the other person. If you have drawn this sigil, your programming is at play in the situation, not your conscious mind and conscious free will. You are following a pattern that has been programmed into your system long ago without any awareness of that pattern being what is currently in control of your thoughts, words, and actions. That program may be totally counter to your actual best interests and or the best interests of others. Ask yourself, what pattern am I stuck in? If you become aware of the pattern and remember how and why it was programmed, you have the capacity to step outside the program and either follow it or turn it off. Once you become aware of the pattern and how and why it was programmed, you have entered the realm of conscious free choice. I love that. I know it was a little long-winded. I picked the card and that's what came out and that's how it has to be. But she's brilliant. She is. I know she roasts people the wrong way. As a matter of fact, when I ran into her the first time online, I was a little put off by her. But it's because she's got a very, very strong energy. But she is brilliant, and I really think that these cards could really help with other readings, like just as that one blind spot reading for your own self. She does have a couple of spreads in here. They're like, you can do them. There's a conflict spread, a time spread. The time spread shows you what you don't see about your past, present, and future. And then there's a responsibility spread you can do with for other people. It's just, and then there's the sector spread. The sector spread shows you what blind spots you have relative to the different areas of your life, and it explains what that is. I love this deck. I think it's going to be a really great deck to add to my readings. I literally plan on using this one for pretty much almost every reading I do. More in-depth readings. If I'm only doing 2 or 3 cards, probably not. But the more in-depth readings, you have to use the book. But I think it's definitely something that's going to enrich the person. Now, I will be honest, some of the cards and some of the descriptions in the book can be a little harsh. So you have to be careful who you do them with, because not everybody's going to take it the right way. As a matter of fact, earlier I did it with somebody, and what I was reading, I was like, oh no, that can't be right. She wasn't taking it the way I was looking at it, because I love her so much, and she just, to me, is not that person that was coming up. But there was only like one little sentence in there that she needed, really, to be honest. And that's the thing, is you just have to use discernment. But I am going to mostly use these with my readings, because I think these are definitely going to add a depth that just doing regular oracle cards with tarot, for me, needs. For me, I think the readings would really benefit from that. Anyway, thank you for stopping by. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you have a fantastic day wherever you are. I don't know if the solar eclipse already came by. I think it just happened, wherever it is in the world. Let's hope it brings in some good things. It's a solar eclipse in Taurus. I'm assuming it's bringing in some good things, because, us Taurus, we like pretty things. So anyway, blessings and thank you, and have a fantastic day wherever you are. Take care.